You're scrolling through your feed, and there it is again, a brand new Range Rover, gleaming, freshly waxed, and it's parked on the driveway of a modest, 3-bedroom semi-detached house somewhere out in the home counties. And your first thought, the thought everybody has but nobody says out loud, is painfully simple. How? How on earth is somebody affording a £70,000 car on a £40,000 salary? Here is the honest answer. Most of them aren't. They don't own that car. Not really. They are renting a lifestyle from a finance company, one monthly payment at a time. And today, we're going to do the honest maths on what a car in Britain actually costs you. Not the shiny number on the windscreen, the real number, the one that quietly decides whether you retire comfortable or retire counting every single penny. Let's start with the illusion, and it has a name. It's called PCP, Personal Contract Purchase. And in 2026, roughly 90% of all new cars in Britain are driven off the forecourt on some form of finance. 90%. Almost nobody buys a new car outright anymore. Now, here's the clever little trick it plays on your brain. When the salesman leans across the desk and says, "It's only £500 a month," your brain doesn't hear a debt. It hears permission. It hears, "I can afford this." But a £500 monthly payment is not ownership. It is a subscription. It is a monthly rental on a depreciating asset, a car you will very likely hand straight back before you ever hold the logbook, the V5C, in your own name. And yes, there are other flavours of finance. There's HP, hire purchase, where at least you're slowly working towards actually owning the thing at the end. But PCP is the nation's favourite, precisely because it hides the true cost behind that seductively low monthly figure. You're not paying for the car. You're paying for the gap, the difference between what it's worth the day you drive it away and what the finance company thinks it'll be worth 3 years later. And then, right on cue, the dealer dangles the keys to a brand new model and the whole cycle begins again. That's the treadmill. A forever payment, dressed up as a lifestyle. Because here is the part the adverts will never, ever show you, the depreciation cliff. The very moment a brand new car rolls off that forecourt, it loses roughly 20% of its value, instantly. That's not a slow, gentle bleed over the years. That is thousands of pounds evaporating in the time it takes you to drive to the end of the road. And it doesn't stop there. By year 3, a typical car has shed around 40% of its original value. So let's go back to that £70,000 dream machine on the driveway. 3 years on, it might be worth around £42,000, which means £28,000 has simply vanished into thin air. And this is the bit that stings. That wasn't the finance company's money that disappeared. That was your money, your salary, your overtime, your holidays not taken, gone. And all you've got to show for it is a set of used keys. But the purchase price is only the beginning, because owning a car means feeding 4 hungry mouths every single month. I call them the hidden 4. Number 1, insurance. If you've renewed a policy anytime recently, you already know the pain. Premiums exploded, up around 40% in the great spike back in 2023, and while they've eased just a touch since, they are still brutally, painfully high. And why won't they properly come back down? Because modern cars are essentially computers on wheels. A minor bump in a car park that used to be a £50 job now means recalibrating cameras, sensors, and radar. The average accident damage claim in Britain has now climbed to over £3,699, and every one of those eye-watering repair bills gets baked straight back into the premium you pay. Number 2, VED. Vehicle Excise Duty, or, as every normal human being actually calls it, car tax. Most drivers pay a standard £200 a year and grumble about it, but buy that flashy motor with a list price, over £40,000, and HMRC has a very special gift waiting for you, the expensive car supplement. That's an extra £440 a year, every year, for 5 years, pushing your annual car tax up to £640. A luxury car tax, charged purely for the privilege of looking wealthy on your driveway. Number 3, maintenance. And this is the one I call the premium brand trap. That Audi, BMW, or Mercedes badge feels absolutely lovely, right up until the moment something breaks. A routine brake change at a main dealer can cost you the better part of £1,000. A service, a single sensor, a set of tyres, premium parts, premium labour, premium pain. The badge was never the cost. The badge is the invoice. Number 4, fuel and energy. Petrol prices lurch up and down with every crisis on the evening news. And if you thought going electric was the clever escape hatch, well, meet the electric squeeze. Yes, charging at home overnight is cheaper, but if you can't charge at home and you're relying on public rapid chargers, the cost per mile can creep right back up towards the price of petrol. The saving quietly disappears. And then, if you happen to live in the wrong postcode, there is a fifth mouth to feed. Call it the geographic tax. Drive an older, non-compliant car into London, and the ULEZ charges you £12.50 every single day. Birmingham's clean air zone charges £8 a day, Bristol charges £9, and if you nose into central London, the congestion charge, now £18 a day, stacks straight on top. For a daily commuter in an older motor, that adds up to comfortably over £3,000 a year. £3,000, not for petrol, not for parking, but purely for permission to drive. Your car sits there, taxed, insured, MOT'd and ready, and the city still charges you rent just to move it down the road. Now, here is where I have to be brutally honest with you, because the real cost of that car isn't the insurance, it isn't the tax, it isn't even the ULEZ. The real cost is the one that never appears on a single invoice. Economists call it opportunity cost, and it is the true wealth killer. Take that same £500 monthly PCP payment, but instead of handing it over to a finance company every month, imagine you quietly invested it. A low-cost, global index fund, held inside a stocks and shares ISA, completely shielded from HMRC, at a historically reasonable return of around 7% a year. After 20 years, that £500 a month grows into over £250,000. Let that land for a second. £250,000. You didn't just pay for a car, you paid with your retirement. Every single PCP payment was a brick you could have laid in the foundations of your own future. And instead, you handed it to someone else, so that a metal box could sit on your driveway, quietly losing value while you slept. So what do the genuinely wealthy in Britain actually drive? Here's the secret, and it might disappoint you. Real wealth in this country is quiet. It doesn't shout. It is almost never the leased Range Rover outside the semi. Far more often, it's a 5-year-old, fully paid off Volvo, or a sensible Toyota, or a Skoda that nobody looks at twice at the traffic lights. And the strategy behind it is simple and boring, and it works beautifully. You buy a 3-year-old car, you let some other poor soul absorb that savage first 40% of depreciation for you. You buy it outright, or on a small, sensible loan, and then you drive it. Not for 3 years, for 10. You keep the MOT clean, you service it on time, and every single month that used to vanish into a PCP payment now stays firmly in your pocket. Or better still, it flows into your ISA or into your SIP, working quietly for your future instead of the dealer's bottom line. So let's bring it home. A car is a tool. It is a box that moves you from one place to another. It is not a trophy. It is not a personality. And it is most certainly not a measure of your worth as a human being. So here is the one honest benchmark to burn into your memory. If your total car costs, the finance, the insurance, the tax, the fuel, all of it, add up to more than 15% of your take-home pay, then you don't own that car. That car owns you. You are not driving it. It is driving you, slowly, expensively, and very quietly, towards financial stagnation. So the next time you spot that gleaming Range Rover on that modest little driveway, don't feel a flicker of envy. Just do the honest maths. Because the quiet neighbour next door, in the 10-year-old Skoda, they might just be the one who actually retires rich. If you learned something from this video, make sure to like and hit subscribe. See you in the next one.